The origins. How the Biennale became a global power. What started in 1895 as a cultural initiative quickly turned into something far more strategic. The Venice Biennale was never just about showcasing art, it was about positioning Italy on the global cultural map. At the time, Europe was deeply competitive not only in politics and economics but also in cultural dominance. Art became a soft power tool. And Venice, with its history as a traditional empire, understood this instinctively. As the event grew, countries were invited to participate, but instead of simply sending artworks, they began building permanent national pavilions. This was a turning point because once architecture became part of the equation, representation became physical, visible, permanent, hierarchical. Countries like Germany, France, and the United Kingdom secured prime locations early on. Others joined later, often adopting to less central spaces. This created an invisible structure of power that still exists today. And from that moment, the Biennale stopped being just an exhibition. It became a geopolitical map expressed through art. Venice during the Biennale, a city transformed. During the Biennale, Venice is no longer just Venice. It becomes a layered reality. On the surface, everything feels cinematic. Canals, historic palaces, reflections on light on water. But underneath, the city operates differently. Temporary galleries appear in hidden courtyards. Private exhibitions take over centuries-old buildings. Luxury brands host invitations, only experiences. The rhythm of the city changes. Mornings are for previews, quite selective strategic. Afternoons are for public exposure. Evenings are where the real moment begins. Because Venice during the Biennale is not just a destination, it's a network. You don't just walk through it, you are either inside it or observing from the outside. And that destination matters more than most people realize. How this system really works. Let's go deeper, because understanding the Biennale means understanding its ecosystem. At the center, there is the main exhibition, curated by an appointed artist director. This exhibition sets the tone, defines the theme, shapes the narrative of that edition. But parallel to it, there are national pavilions, each operating independently. This creates a fascinating tension. A centralized vision versus decentralized representation. And then there is a third layer, collateral events. These are exhibitions not officially part of the main structure, but recognized within the ecosystem. Often more experimental, sometimes more daring, and occasionally more influential, because they are less controlled, less predictable, and in some cases more aligned with emerging trends. So what you are seeing is not one exhibition, it's an entire universe with its own rules, its own hierarchies, and its own economy. real cases when Venice changed careers. There are moments in the art world that define trajectories. Venice is one of them. Artists who were once relatively unknown have left the Biennale with global recognition. One powerful pavilion, one strong curational vision, one moment of attention, and everything changes. Galleries expand representation, collectors enter the conversation, museums begin acquisitions. The Biennale doesn't just reflect success, it can create it, and this is why so much is at stake, because visible here is not casual, it's catalytic. Scandals, politics, and controversies. But where there is influence, there is tension. Over the years, the Venice Biennale has seen its share of controversy. Artists have used pavilions to address war, identity, inequality, and political conflicts. Some countries have turned their exhibition into statements. Others have faced criticism for lack of representation or outdated perspectives. There have been debates around funding sources, questions about whether art can truly be independent when supported by powerful institutions, and moments where the line between art and propaganda became blurred. These are not side stories, they are part of the core, because the Biennale is not outside the world, it is deeply embedded in it. The collectors, the invisible force. Now let's return to one of the most powerful and least visible groups, collectors. They don't need to exhibit, they don't need to speak publicly, but their presence shapes outcomes because they decide what gets acquired, what gets supported, what gets remembered. Some arrive with advisors, some move quietly, some host private gatherings that became more important public exhibitions, and in those spaces decisions are made, not announced, but felt, because influence in this world is rarely loud, it is precise. VIP life inside the Biennale. There is a version of the Biennale that most people will never experience. The private viewings, the closed dinners, the after-hours access. This is where relationships are built, not through transactions, but through proximity. You are invited not just because of what you do, but because of who you are connected to. And in that sense, the Biennale operates very much like an elite club. Access is curated, presence is intentional, and once you are inside, you begin to see a completely different reality. Why it all matters. The art market connection. The Biennale is not a marketplace, but it drives the market. What is seen in Venice influences what is shown in galleries, what is discussed by critics, what is acquired by institutions. It shapes direction, trends, narratives, and in doing so, it impacts value, not just financial value, but cultural relevance. Because in the art world, visibility is currency. ClubAndCo perspective. And this brings us back to something deeper, because what we explore on ClubAndCo is not just places, but systems of belonging. The Venice Biennale is not just an event, it is structure of access, a space where visibility is curated, where relationships define opportunities, and where presence becomes positioning. And once you understand that, you start seeing similar patterns everywhere. Private clubs, luxury networks, cultural institutions, different formats, but the same logic. So the question becomes, how do you enter these worlds? And what does it really mean to belong? Power players, real names behind the Biennale. Let's make this real, because the Venice Biennale is not anonymous. It is shaped by people, very specific people. Curators like Okui and Vezor, who redefined the Biennale in 2015 by turning it into the political statement about global inequality, or Massimiliano Ghioni, who blurred the line between outsider art and institutional art, or more recently Koyo Kowo, whose 2026 edition was meant to shift the tone toward introspection before it became one of the most turbulent editions in history. Artists who dominate the conversation: Damien Hirst, known not just for art but for building an empire where art meets spectacle and money; Jeff Koons, whose provocative works have repeatedly sparkled outrage and fascination; Tino Segal, whose performance reject objects entirely yet dominate attention at elite levels. Then there are artists like Otobon Ganga and Arthur Jaffa, whose works bring political urgency and cultural depth into the Biennale space. And of course, the galleries, because behind almost every major artist there is a gallery machine. Kagosian, Hauser and Verse, David Zwirner, these are not just galleries. They are power institutions. They influence visibility, pricing, and global positioning. The billionaire collectors. Now let's talk about the people who don't exhibit but decide everything. Collectors like François Pinault, owner of Palazzo Grazia and Punta della Dogana in Venice. His presence alone reshaped the city's art ecosystem. Bernard Arnault, the LVMH chairman whose connection between luxury and art is impossible to ignore. Roman Abramovich, known for quietly supporting major art acquisitions. Eli Broad, historically, who helped define institutional collecting strategies. These people don't just collect art, they shape taste, they influence museums, they decide which artists become important. And during the Biennale, many of them are not visible, but they are present. At private dinners, at closed previews, at moments where no cameras are allowed, all of them are there. Real scandals that shook the Biennale. Let's go deeper, because the Biennale has always lived on the edge of controversy, and some of these moments changed everything. The mosque scandal. Christophe Buchel, 2015, a Swiss artist, transformed a reconstructed Venetian church into a functioning mosque. What happened next? Authorities shut it down. The reason? Security concerns and political tension. But the real issue was deeper. Religion, migration, fear, and the installation exposed Europe's discomfort and became one of the most talked about moments in Biennale history. Explicit art and church outrage. Jeff Koons. Works like Made in Heaven, showing Koons in explicit things, sparked outrage from religious institutions. Some works were even vandalized, but controversy only increased visibility, and visibility increased value. 2026 crisis, jury resignation and political conflict. Now we move to something recent. The 2026 Biennale became one of the most chaotic editions ever. The entire jury resigned. Why? Because of political tensions around the participation of countries like Russia and Israel during ongoing global conflicts. This led to cancellation of tradition awards, public voting replacing expert decisions, massive criticism from artists. Over 70 artists withdrew from prize consideration in protest. Nearly 100 plus artists even threatened legal action over how their names were used. This is not just drama, this is a system under pressure. Alma Allen controversy, US Pavilion. The selection of Alma Allen for the US Pavilion triggered backlash. Why? Because the commissioning body had connections to political circles like Donald Trump. Artists questioned the integrity of representation. Allen reportedly faced threats and exclusion. Again, not about art alone, about power. Activism and protest. Pussy Riot and Femen. Activist groups like Pussy Riot and Femen have used the Biennale as stage. Protests erupted around national pavilions. Art became protest, and protest became part of the exhibition itself. when art becomes politics. At this level, art cannot be neutral. Artists like Wally Drad, Alfredo Jar, and Alice Maher have openly protested Biennale structures and decisions. Entire pavilions have turned into statements about war, identity, and power. And sometimes the most important work is not the artwork itself, but the decision behind it. To show or not to show, to participate or to withdraw. The dark side of visibility. Here is something rarely discussed. Not everyone benefits from Biennale. Some artists disappear after it, some are overexposed and forgotten, some become trendy but not sustainable because the Biennale accelerates everything, including failure, and this is where the system becomes brutal because it rewards attention, not always depth. The reality of access. Insider truth. Let's be honest. Access to the Biennale is not equal. Yes, anyone can buy a ticket, but that's not where the power is. The real access happens during preview days, through invitations, through networks. Even people working in the industry often struggle to enter inner circles. You are either inside it or observing it from the outside. And that line is very real. And finally, connection to ClubAndCo. Let's discuss. And now the real reason this matters. Because the Venice Biennale is not unique. It is a model, a blueprint for how elite ecosystems work. Curated access, invisible hierarchies, social positioning, power networks. And this is exactly what we explore on ClubAndCo is about understanding of it. Not just where to go, but how systems really operate. Because once you understand this, you stop being just a visitor. You start becoming strategic. Venice will continue. The Biennale will evolve. New artists will rise, new scandals will emerge, new collectors will enter the game, but the structure will remain. And the real question is no longer what is art, but who decides what art becomes. Thank you for watching.